Hey y'all. Today I bought a few little knickknacks and stuff like that for my exoskeleton project. Oh my god, why the hell did I put myself into this? Yeah, I've been watching like videos of people making Iron Man armor and stuff like that, and they're having all these problems because they're trying to build the Iron Man armor. The problem in building that kind of armor is, let's say you make the forearm, and you can make the forearm and you can make the arm part. But the problem is, how do you connect this joint? So there's no real, I mean, you go nuts trying to create a joint that unifies this and the arm, the forearm and the arm, and has all the range of motion of your arm. Man, you're gonna fucking. It's terrible. So I decided because I kept like giving people advice and stuff, and I got no response. So I said, fuck it, let me build it and show them what I'm talking about, and maybe it'd make it a little easier for anybody that wants to build an EXO. Um, One of the things I'm planning to do, I've been using PVC to mock everything up because this stuff is a lot easier to cut. I mean, to cut this thing, and I have this ratcheting cutting thing, and it cuts those nice smooth cuts. And then the idea would be to get a heat gun and warm this part up and then just compress this. So in other words, the roll cage, which I'm going to strap into, I just bought the 5 point harness. I got a pretty good deal on it. It was used, but the 5 point harness will tie me in to the EXO. And again, what I'm planning to do with the EXO is I'm using electrical conduit galvanized steel piping, which I thought was going to be, you know, shitty. No, this stuff is absolutely to cut it with a hacksaw and stuff. So what I'm planning to do is they sell like I know that they have them for the little pipes. I just didn't know they had them for pipes this size. Which essentially it's like a press with a little like knife thing, and then you roll it around the pipe, even though it's metal, and it cuts the pipe. So I'm planning to get that. It's only 15 bucks, so it's not that bad. The hard part is going to be crushing these things, because the idea would be to squash this down. So imagine if this round end was squeezed, flat, then let's say the other side is squeezed flat. Well, then you drill it and you have a hole. And then if you have another piece like this, let's say if I don't want it to be like this, I can actually um, make the flat part come down at a 90-degree angle or whatever angle I want, and then attach it, attach them all like that. And I can have like 5 or 6 pieces of tubing, like all interconnected into one point, as long as they're all flat, and then put a bolt in there, and then maybe a little bit of solder or something like that. I don't know, but apparently it's going to be really strong. So right now I'm mocking everything up with PVC. The problem is, originally when I used the PVC, I didn't use that technique of smushing this. So I used all the elbows and stuff like that, and they work, but they tend to pop out. And I've drilled them, and they still pop out, and it's driving me fucking nuts. So at this point, I think I got everything mocked up where I'm happy with. I guess in my mind, I didn't want to spend a lot of time and energy on this if it was impossible, because I knew that these arm joints and the leg joints and then the shoulder, the joints are so difficult to make on an EXO or one of these Iron Man or Warhammer. They never show you. They never show you the detailed of how this thing rotates, And again, let's say in a spacesuit, they solve the problem by having bearings. So you have a big circular bearing that goes around your arm. The problem is you cannot cut a bearing in half. If you cut the bearing in half, the little balls will fucking spill out all over the place, and you don't have a bearing. So it's like you can't go into the circle. You have to go through the circle. And of course, the arm connects to here, and then there's another joint that connects to here, and they're all circular and stuff. And it's not hard like a spacesuit is Kevlar. So you have play. You have a little bit of play. With hard armor, there's no play. It's got to be right on the money. It's got to fall where it falls. And my solution, since it's exoskeleton, is normally in like your body. You know, you have your skeleton inside, and then you have your muscles around it and tendons and all that stuff. Um, that is kind of like where I'm going. If the muscles and the tendons and everything, it's exo, has to be on the outside. What I'm doing is I'm attaching everything on the outside. Um, there's like a few little engineering things that I kind of figured out. Um, one thing, like to because the arm will like if you have an exo, something on the outside of your arm, and you move your arm in and out, the arm will shorten and lengthen. Um, because kind of like with a circle. Okay, imagine a circle, right? And then you have another circle on the outside of that. Well, when this circle spins, this is a bad explanation. The point is, the only way that that would work is that I don't even know. I give up on it. Like I looked at DARPA because then the question is, if you build an exoskeleton, something that goes on the outside of your body, which direction do you go? Like, do you want it to come underneath the arm? Do you want it to come alongside the arm? Do you want it to come on the inside of the arm? Do you want it to come right over the arm? So, in other words, it would be like, does this go here, 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 or in the back? And from watching a lot of videos, I've seen that the DARPA guys, they tend to do it on the outside. And I think that for an EXO, that's the best route, like to have it on the outside of the arm, not on the inside, or not here or not there. Now, if you want to encapsulate the whole arm, that's when you're going to have mega problems. Um, in fact, I'm starting to think that that's the reason why you look at movies like Elysium, which is a functional exoskeleton. I think that that design is kind of like what my thing is going to look like when I'm done. Um, but then you have Day Edge of Tomorrow, Die Repeat, whatever, the Tom Cruise movie. They also have the exoskeleton on the outside, and again, the problem becomes having the exo is a pain in the ass to design itself. The problem becomes when you put armor over it. It's like because now the armor has to also shrink and get bigger based on your thing. So and then if you're talking about just armor, I mean, for fucking the Italians and the Spanish and the Europeans, they figured it out a long time ago. You know how to make the joints so that they work. But the problem is, you make, let's say, medieval armor. It's not going to be able to take an impact of a bullet. It needs to be thicker. Cannot be that skin tight thing that you see in armor, like anything. Lorinca segmentada, you know, anything that is in armor, uh, you see it be very skin tight, and with ballistic stuff, you don't want it skin tight. Like, for example, let's see if I can explain it a little bit better. Tony Man armor, like Iron Man, sorry, Tony Man. Iron Man, I should never do these videos when I'm high. I'm looking at the flowers thinking, shit, people are going to think, holy fuck. These, when my mother was on her deathbed, um, that she was very, very sick, she didn't like flowers because she said that they would die, and she didn't like having death around her. So what I got to doing was making little paper flowers, and that's what these are to remember her. So I tend to be like a little creative and stuff. And the background here, I don't know if you guys can see it, is the beach. So I threw this on top of the window just to give the illusion of being at the beach. Just in case anybody's wondering what the weird background is. And I put like a little thing of plants and stuff. I still gotta finish it. It looks like shit right now. But anyways, I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Yeah, again, building an exoskeleton is one of the most difficult things that I think I've ever engineered. I mean, usually things just come to me very quickly. With this, it's like I really had to like look at videos again, look at things like Edge of Tomorrow, Elysium, um, which, by the way, because of Elysium, I kind of got the idea because to fix the problem of the arm lengthening and shortening, I figured you put a tube inside of a tube. The problem is that in the elbow, the tubes will, if you put your arm in a certain position, both tubes slide out. So I thought about putting springs from this one to the other one and doing this and that. Now what I'm thinking about is just like an Elysium to use a gas shock. So the tube would be inside the tube. What I haven't decided whether I want the gas shock inside these tubes attached or if I want it running on the outside. But that'll keep the tube from. And then the problem is I need gas shocks that really don't have any gas. So I may actually have to buy some, drill them to release the gas, and then just use them almost like a guide. So again, do I run that on the inside? I could put it inside the two tubes, and it's invisible, which I like. But and if you have to service or whatever, something comes off, then you're stuck with. So it's like a lot of times with engineering stuff, you really gotta not just okay, how do I build this, but how do I service this? So let's say you do make an exoskeleton. Um, it's gonna need service. A joint can go out. How do you get to it? So you have to engineer it so that you can take it apart. Like so it's a lot of stuff that's involved. But right now I'm taking a little break. Tomorrow I'll jump on it again. I got some rivets to put the feet together, and man, I just cannot find those. Because the thing was, in the other video, I said I want a hinge, right? Where the hell's my hinge? Whatever. I want a hinge that is spring loaded. And the idea would be that spring loaded hinge would mount on as the bottom of the feet. That would be like your toes. So the hinge would bend like this, the front, and then the sides, and then the back. So it would give you that when you walk, that pivot that we all have when we walk. Try to imitate the human foot as much as possible. The problem is I want pressure in one direction and then put like springs to keep it. So in other words, it won't, because if I don't have the springs pulling it back this way, it would just close, and that's not going to be useful. But I needed to just be able to do this. It's just so many little things, so many little things. The good thing is that I'm not trying to imitate Warhammer. I'm not trying to imitate Elysium. I'm not building a cosplay costume. I'm building something functional, and the idea would be, even though this would not be military grade, like in other words, you don't want to go to combat with this thing, I'm pretty sure. Uh, the idea would be it would be as close to as possible. Um, so I'm also using really hardcore materials. I've got titanium, I've got Kevlar, um, and a few little other things that I kind of thought. So, because I mean, it's not just one system. Like you think, oh, I'm gonna build an Iron Man suit. Okay, you build the Iron Man suit. Perfect, great. Um, again, what's his name? Fuck, I'm sorry, I'm stoned as hell. Um, the guy from MythBusters, he 3D printed a Iron Man suit out of titanium, and it's bulletproof. The problem is when you have that on you and you get hit with a bullet, there is a kinetic impact. There is energy transferred into your body, and you have to have enough foam to be able to kind of like soften that hit. And that foam is thick, it has to be thick. So I'm thinking that any kind of hard armor, in my mind at least, you would have to have like what they use for sparring, like that big thing over your head, and the big pads and the oversized pads. And imagine with those, and if you get hit with like let's say a baseball bat, and it still hurts. So imagine a bullet. Even if it stops it, it's still gonna really like. I've seen pictures of guys who have been hit with a bullet with a bulletproof vest, and it's like, man, they got the big black mark on there. Sometimes it breaks ribs and stuff like that, which is what I'm trying to. This is the reason for the hard armor. So the idea would be, ideally, you'd have a soft armor comprised of Kevlar and titanium. It's a perforated titanium. Perforated means it has little holes in it, so it bends. It's very flexible. And since it's flexible and it has little holes in it, I plan to kind of like laminate it with the Kevlar. So it'll be Kevlar, the titanium, Kevlar, titanium, Kevlar, titanium, and then all that would be held together. Um, and that's a soft armor. Then on top of that, I plan to use titanium and steel. Um, and I don't think I've ever seen that, which is to laminate them. Titanium is like a hard aluminum, is the way I describe it. Anybody who's ever worked with aluminum, it's like a really fucking hard aluminum. Aluminum has some properties, which is it cracks under stress. Like if you bend aluminum, it will crack. If you look at cast aluminum, like if it's cracked, it looks almost like concrete. It's like little air pockets in there and stuff. Titanium, from what I've worked with, it's kind of like that. Steel, on the other hand, when you see bullet holes in steel, they're like these perfect little circles. I mean, the steel just gets the hell out of the way. With titanium, you don't get those perfect circles. What you get is cracks. So the titanium acts almost like silicon carbide, which I'm thinking, instead of silicon carbide, and I thought it would be cheaper. Um, they do sell the ballistic tiles that are capable of withstanding rifle rounds in hexagons. So basically, you'd buy these hexagons, you'd arrange them however you want, and attach them supposedly however you want. And every time one of these gets impacted, it would crack, but um, not destroy the whole structure of the thing. So just one impact, one crack, but the whole thing can still take multiple rounds. Um, what I got in my head was, since titanium does crack and it's cheaper, believe it or not. So if you buy one little silicon carbide tile, ballistic tile, and you buy that same equivalency in titanium, it's a lot cheaper. So believe it or not, that's one of the reasons I'm going with titanium. It's going to give me the, hopefully, rifle round, or at least bullet round. The idea would be, again, I wanted to see if it was possible, like to build a small exo, mech suit. Power armor would be probably the closest thing I would come to describe it, like from Starship Troopers. This is 18 minutes long.